My Fox companion just posted my photo on the Underground Beast Trading Network. Who wants her? I'll even pay you to take her. Immediately, several beast people started commenting below. Why are you selling this pretty human? She looks perfect for an owner. If you're serious, I want her. Tyler replied, don't just. Look at her face. She's terrible. Completely unqualified as an owner. She always smells like bitter medicine. It's disgusting. So many rules and restrictions. She controls me worse than a prison warden. My life is worse than a stray beast. She's boring and old-fashioned, too. Even my only lion friend can't stand her, especially since she has this gorgeous sister. Compared to her, she's even more pathetic. Finally, Tyler said, I don't want this kind of owner for even one more day. If you still want her after hearing all this, go ahead and take her. An anonymous beast person instantly placed a bid. Transaction successful flashed in bright red letters. Tyler stared at the screen in shock, suddenly remembering that dark web transaction strictly prohibited cancellations or refunds. I was working at my computer. Tyler lay on the bed behind me playing with his phone, his fluffy tail swishing back and forth. Suddenly, his tail went rigid. He scrambled up from the bed and snuck a nervous glance at me. His eyes were full of panic. I adjusted my glasses. What happened? Tyler's expression froze. He waved his hands frantically. Nothing. Nothing at all. I raised an eyebrow but didn't press further. This little fox always had secrets he wouldn't share with me. I respected that and made it a habit not to pry. Tyler sat restlessly, lips pressed tight, eyes glued to his phone screen. Those 4 words, transaction successful, still glared at him. They wouldn't disappear unless he clicked away. But who had bought his owner? He described her as such a terrible person. How could someone still bid instantly? Tyler was both anxious and angry, completely at a loss. He thought it over and decided to ask his only lion friend for advice. But Leo responded coldly. If she sold, she sold. You don't like her anyway, right? Perfect. Let someone who can accept her as an owner take over. As for you, just go find the qualified owner you've been dreaming of. Everyone wins. Tyler lay down in frustration, closed the chat, and buried himself under the blankets without another word. 5 minutes later, his face was burning red. He quietly sent a message to my sister. Would you be willing to take in another beast person? Meanwhile, my email chimed with a message from the Beast Trading Network. Just as I was about to open it, dozens of screenshots rapidly appeared on my computer screen. I immediately spotted my own photo in one of them. My breath caught. In the photo, I sat at my computer wearing silver-framed glasses and casual clothes, my black hair falling over my shoulders, my face glowing in the computer's light. This photo was taken tonight, and from this angle, only Tyler could have taken it. Slowly, I looked through every screenshot, my expression blank as I closed them. After a pause, I opened the email. The message inside was brief. Dear human lady, due to your beast person selling you, our system has forcibly terminated your contract with your fox companion, your new beast. Person's contact information and basic details are attached. In 3 days, your New companion will arrive to sign a contract with you. I never realized. Tyler was so dissatisfied with me. I clicked through the screenshots again, reading his complaints and criticisms. One by one, my mind felt numb. Tyler was an expensive companion beast I bought from the premium beast market. Beautiful, spoiled, but vibrant and full of life. I lived alone and had never cared for any living creature before. So, I was extra careful with beast care, strictly following the seller's manual, regulating his sleep schedule, protein, and fiber intake, daily exercise requirements. Tyler seemed unwilling but behaved obediently. When did he start finding fault with everything? I removed my glasses and rubbed my temples with a headache. When I opened my eyes again, I saw his comment. She has a sister. Compared to her, she's even more pathetic. Then I remembered my half sister, Emma's sudden visit, and how Tyler's eyes had lit up, his tail wagging much more enthusiastically than usual. Emma, dressed in bright colors, with dramatic makeup, loved criticizing me, always wearing such drab clothes. People might think you're joining a convent, and this medicinal smell filling the house. How does your beast person even stand it? She clicked across the floor in her high heels, walked into the kitchen and shrieked, "Oh my God, what are you feeding your little fox? Meat paste? That's disgusting, sister. You're raising a beast person, not a wild animal. Why is he eating raw meat?" I said nothing as she toured my home, like she owned it, finally stopping in front of me, not talking again. "You're still so boring. No wonder nobody likes you, from family to strangers." She glanced at Tyler, who was staring at her in fascination, and smiled. "Look at that. The only one willing to stay with you is someone you bought with money. Lil Fox, wanna come play at my house? My place is much more fun than this stump." I finally spoke coldly. "Don't corrupt children." After that, Tyler constantly asked me about Emma. I thought he was just curious and didn't think much of it. Now I realized he clearly favored Emma. Even his criticisms of me were learned word for word from Emma. That day, I tapped my fingers on the desk, looking toward the back. Tyler was still hiding under the blankets. I stood up, walked to the bed, and pulled the covers off. Tyler jumped in shock. The smile hadn't even faded from his blushing face. Then his expression froze. Then he glared at me angrily. "What are you doing?" I grabbed his ear, pushed him aside, and expressionlessly glanced at his phone. He was acting cute with Emma. Since bringing him home, the house had gained some liveliness, but nothing else. He never spoke sweetly, only made arrogant demands and complaints, so he didn't know how to act cute. I looked him up and down. Palm-sized face, delicate features, small moles at the corners of his eyes, and nose tip, thick curly lashes, snow white smooth skin, very pretty with boyish looks. Exactly Emma strived for her games. I picked up his phone. Tyler tried to grab it back. I straightened up and pinned him to the bed with my legs. "Stay still." Tyler Sias went wide. "You can't look. That's my privacy." "Since when do pets have privacy?" I asked softly. Tyler's face went pale, too ashamed and angry to speak. I scrolled through everything. He'd made plans with Emma for tomorrow night. she would send someone to pick him up, seeing he couldn't hide it anymore. Tyler gave up completely. Staring at me won't help. I just don't like you. I like bright, beautiful humans like your sister, not boring people like you. But since you did buy me and raise me all this time, I'll compensate. You compensate? I looked at him. Tyler's eyelids trembled unnaturally. Of course, I already found you a new beast person. He'll come in 3 days. So post to me on the Beast Trading Network was, in his words, finding me a new beast person. What a clever little fox with his smooth talk. You really want to go to Emma's? I kept my foot on Tyler's chest, my tone light. I'm only asking once. If you want to go, you can never come back. Tyler puffed up his cheeks defiantly. I don't want to stay in your house at all. Perfect with Emma's methods for toying with beast people. I hope this delicate little fox could handle it. I said nothing more and walked away. This wasn't my bedroom. I sent Tyler to the guest room. He was still defiant, walking away. Who wants your bed anyway? Only when I was alone did I drop my cold facade, sinking into my chair with a tired sigh. Emma seemed right about one thing. Nobody wanted to stay with me, whether family or strangers. The only one by my side was someone I'd bought. Now, even this bought companion didn't want to stay. I closed my eyes for a long time. When I opened them, I realized I'd somehow clicked on the new beast person's profile. In the formal ID photo, the boy had striking features, pictures with dramatic beauty, and aggressively handsome face framed by fluffy white hair and 2 pink furry ears. Name Leo. Species lion. I narrowed my eyes. The name Leo seemed familiar. Looking closer at his profile, I discovered Leo was formerly a stray beast person who'd been taken in by the Beast Guild and came independent, never bound to a human owner. But his stats were exceptional in every category, especially that face. It could probably rate as premium grade. Why would such a beast person actively bid on me to come his owner? 3 days, 72 hours until a strange lion beast man showed up at my door to become my new companion. I should have been anxious or curious or at least mildly concerned. Instead, I felt nothing but a hollow sort of exhaustion. I spent the first day cleaning, not because the apartment was dirty, but because I needed to do something with my hands, something that didn't involve thinking about Tyler's words echoing in my ears. She's terrible, completely unqualified as an owner. I scrubbed the kitchen counters until they squeaked. Always smells like bitter medicine. It's disgusting. I emptied the medicine cabinet, sniffed every bottle. It was true. I took daily medication for a condition I never bothered explaining to Tyler. The pills had a distinct earthy scent, nothing like the floral perfumes Emma drenched herself in. So many rules and restrictions. She controls me worse than a prison warden. I pulled out the Beast Care Manual I bought when I first adopted Tyler. The pages were worn, dog-eared from constant reference. I'd followed every guideline religiously. Specific feeding times, exact nutritional ratios, mandatory exercise windows, strict sleep schedules. The seller had emphasized how important structure was for domesticated beast people. They thrive on routine, she'd said. Without it, they become anxious and destructive. I'd believed her. I believed everything in that manual. Now I wondered if I treated Tyler like a pet instead of a living, breathing creature with his own desires. Dort. My life is worse than a stray beast. I threw the manual in the trash. Then I fished it out again, because old habits die hard, and set it on the counter instead. I'd decide what to do with it later. Tyler emerged from the guest room around noon, looking rumpled and defensive, his silver hair stuck up in 10 different directions, and his fox ears kept twitching involuntarily. Till he'd never been able to control. When he was nervous, I was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee, staring blankly at my laptop screen. The Beast Trading Network email was still open. Leo's profile photo staring back at me with those unsettling golden eyes. Tyler hovered in the doorway, his tail low to the ground. He opened his mouth, closed it, then opened it again. What? I didn't look up from the screen. Nothing. His voice came out small. I finally glanced at him. He looked younger than his 19 years, standing there in his rumpled sleep shirt, barefoot, hugging his own elbows. The morning light caught the moles at the corner of his eye, making them stand out against his pale skin. I remembered the first time I'd seen him at the premium beast market. He'd been sitting in a display cage. No, not a cage, an enrichment enclosure they called it, surrounded by toys and soft bedding. The other beast people in the market had been showing off preening for potential buyers. Tyler had been sulking in the corner, ears flat, tail curled around himself like a shield. I'd fallen in love with him instantly, not in a romantic way. The market had strict rules against that interpretation, but I'd felt this overwhelming surge of protectiveness, this desperate need to take him home and make sure he never looked that miserable again. The saleswoman had warned me, this one's difficult. He's been returned 3 times already. How old is he? 17. Almost an adult by beast standards, but still, I'll take him. She tried to talk me out of it, told me stories about his behavior problems, his attitude, his refusal to bond with previous owners. I'd waved her off and signed the paperwork anyway. Now here we were 2 years later, and he'd posted me on a black market website to get rid of me. What do you want for lunch? I asked. Tyler's ears perked up in surprise. What? Lunch? I'm not hungry. You haven't eaten since yesterday. I stood up, walked to the refrigerator. I'm making rice porridge. You can have some. Or not, but it's happening. Tyler stared at me like I'd grown a second head. You're making me food after everything. You still live here for 3 more days. I'm not going to let you starve. His expression flickered through about 7 emotions in rapid succession: confusion, suspicion, guilt, something that might have been regret, before settling back into sullen defiance. Fine, but I'm not thanking you. I didn't ask you to. The rice porridge turned out bland, exactly the way Tyler used to like it when I first brought him home. Lately he'd been demanding richer foods, spicy stews, grilled meats, anything with strong flavors. But I remembered how he'd looked at me with those big eyes the first week, how he'd asked for whatever you're having in that tentative voice, Like he was afraid I'd say no that I'd said yes. Always yes, as long as it followed the manual's guidelines. He took the bowl without meeting my eyes and retreated to the guest room. I heard the door lock click. I didn't chase after him. I didn't bang on the door and demand he come out. I just sat at the kitchen table and ate my own porridge in silence, watching the afternoon light shift across the floor. The screenshots were still open on my laptop. I'd closed them a dozen times, but I kept reopening them, rereading Tyler's words like I was trying to memorize my own shortcomings. She's boring and old-fashioned, too. Even my only lion friend can't stand her, especially since she has this gorgeous sister. Compared to her, she's even more pathetic. I clicked over to my email. The Beast Trading Network had sent another message, automated this time, reminding me to prepare for my new companion's arrival. Please ensure your living space is suitable for a lion beast person. Their requirements differ significantly from fox breeds. They never cared for a lion before. I barely knew how to care for a fox, apparently. I closed the email and opened a new browser tab. Time to research. The guest room door creaked open around midnight. I was still at the kitchen table, surrounded by research notes on lion beast person care. Their dietary needs were vastly different from foxes. More protein, less grain, and absolutely no citrus fruits, which were toxic to their digestive systems. They required more space, more exercise, and according to multiple sources, significantly more mental stimulation than other beast breeds. Bored lions become destructive. One article warned, they will dismantle your furniture, your walls, and your sanity in that order. Fantastic. Tyler crept into the kitchen, probably thinking I was asleep. I watched him through half-closed eyes, pretending not to notice. He opened the refrigerator, stared inside for a long moment, then closed it without taking anything. He opened the pantry. Same thing. What are you looking for? I asked. He jumped about a foot in the air, whirling around with his fur puffed out. I thought you were sleeping. Clearly not. I pushed my glasses up. You were restless all day. Couldn't sleep. Tyler's tail lashed behind him. None of your business. Fair enough. I turned back to my laptop. There's leftover porridge in the fridge if you changed your mind about dinner. I said, I'm not hungry. You said that at lunch, too. You still ate most of the bowl. His cheeks flushed pink. That was just you're so annoying. I didn't respond. My research on lion enrichment activities had led me down a rabbit hole of beast psychology articles, and I was deep in a study about social bonding behaviors. Apparently, lions formed extremely strong attachments to their chosen humans, stronger than almost any other breed, but that attachment had to be earned through consistent positive interactions. Forced bonding rarely worked, unlike foxes, which bonded more easily, but also detached more quickly. That explained a lot about Tyler. The third day arrived, the way difficult things do ordinarily. Morning light through the same curtains, coffee from the same machine. The apartment still smelled faintly of the medicine I took each morning, and I had stopped noticing it years ago, but Tyler's words had recalibrated my nose. Against my will, I didn't clean. I didn't rearrange. I was too tired to perform readiness for a stranger. The doorbell rang at 10 o'clock. I opened the door. Leo was taller than his profile. Photo suggested, which I hadn't expected. Broad-shouldered, the white. Hair softer in person, the pink. Furry ears slightly flattened in the manner of something trying not to overwhelm. His golden eyes were striking, the kind of eyes that take in a room all at once and file everything. Quietly, he held a small bag. One bag. For a person. He didn't step forward. He waited. I'm Leo, your new companion. Pause. May I come in? I stepped aside. He entered without rushing, without demanding the tour, without immediately identifying which room he wanted or asking about the Wi-Fi password. He simply stood in the middle of my living room and looked around with a focused calm of someone mapping a place they intend to understand. His gaze landed on the medicine bottles I'd left on the counter. He didn't comment. He saw the Beast Care manual on the kitchen table. I'd taken it out of the trash, put it back on the counter, still hadn't decided. He picked it up, turned a few pages, set it down gently with the care you give things that meant something to someone. You followed this closely, he said. I wanted to do everything right. He nodded, not in the way people nod when they're humoring you, in the way that means they've heard you. Tyler told me you ran his meals like a schedule, that you tracked his sleep, that you monitored his exercise. He looked at me. He called it control. I call it care. A brief pause. I was astray for years. No rules, no schedule, no one who checked whether I'd eaten, no one who would have noticed if I didn't come home. His voice was even, but not empty. Do you know what I would have given for someone to follow a manual for me? My throat tightened. I didn't cry. I just nodded. Guest room is down the hall. I said, it's yours. Thank you. He picked up his bag. I'll earn the space. I didn't know what that meant. I was starting to understand it might not require a manual. The first week was quiet in a way I hadn't known quiet could be. Leo ate what I ate when I apologized for the plainness of dinner. On the second night, he looked at me with genuine puzzlement. It's good. Why? Are you apologizing? I didn't have an answer. He slept on the couch the first 2 nights despite my insistence about the guest room. On the third night, he moved to the guest room not because I pushed, but because he decided he was ready. He mentioned this the next morning simply like a status update. He noticed things Tyler had never noticed, the way my hands trembled slightly when I was late with my medication. Tyler had complained the shaking made noise at the keyboard. Noticed the pattern instead. The way I position myself in rooms, always near exits, always with my back to walls. He didn't comment on it. He just gradually stopped sitting in positions that required me to feel the room behind me. The way I apologized before speaking, for asking a question, for wanting tea, for existing in my own kitchen. He started saying, you don't have to apologize for that, so quietly and consistently that after a week I noticed I was doing it less. Not because he corrected me loudly, just because the pattern was being gently dismantled through repetition of its absence. One night I was making tea and crying, not dramatically, just the small, steady kind that happens when you've been holding something a long time and your hands are occupied and your guard is down. He came into the kitchen, didn't ask. He took the kettle from my hands, finished making the tea, set a cup in front of me. Then he sat down across the table. You don't have to be strong here, he said. I'm not going anywhere. I cried harder, the kind I can't suppress once it starts. He didn't touch me. I hadn't yet made clear what was comfortable, and he was paying attention to that, but he just stayed in the chair across from me, steady and present until it passed. I dried my face, looked at him. Sorry, I said. You don't have to apologize for that, he said. I threw away the beast care manual on a Tuesday, not in a dramatic way, just dropped it in the recycling bin while I was clearing the counter. I started cooking what I wanted. I stopped setting feeding alarms. Leo told me when he was hungry, casually, in passing, I think I'd like something warm tonight. What are you making? As though it was a conversation between two people planning dinner, which it was. It occurred to me slowly that Tyler had never told me what he wanted. He'd resented whatever I gave him and withheld what he actually needed. And I had followed the manual because the manual was the only language I had for caring about something I was afraid of getting wrong. Leo used words that tea was a revelation. I was slightly embarrassed to be having at my age. One evening, he asked unprompted, what do you want, Emma? Not for me, for you. I sat with the question. I wanted to be a doctor. I said, finally, a surgeon. But my hands, they shake. The medication helps, but not completely. And I was told the tremor was too significant for precision work. He was quiet for a moment, then he reached across and took my hands, just held them, still that I looked down that he was right. They're not shaking now, he said. Tyler's message arrived 2 weeks after Leo. Can I come get my things? I wrote back, they're in a box by the door. You don't need to come, and I put the box out. I went back to my desk that I heard the footsteps on the landing. A pause. I looked up. Leo was on the couch with one of my medical textbooks. He'd been working through them methodically without announcing it, and when I'd asked why, he'd said he wanted to understand my condition properly. He was teaching himself so the information could live with someone who had stated he wasn't looking toward the window, but I could tell he was aware. Tyler knocked. That I opened the door that he looked terrible. His silver hair was dull, that brightness that had always been his primary feature, that vibrance that I'd loved so much when I first saw him in the market, was absent. He'd lost weight. His foxy ears were flat and stayed flat that he saw Leo through the window. Something moved through his face. You replaced me, he said. You replaced me first, I said, on a trading network. You wrote an auction listing. His jaw tightened. Emma, he started, then stopped. He never called me by name when we lived together. It was always you or nothing at all. You're a sister, he said. His voice had dropped. She threw me out after 3 days, she said. I was too much work, that I wasn't as cute as she thought. That he stopped. His eyes were wet. I was on the street For 2 days before the guild took me in, I looked at him that I thought about the first time I'd seen him at the market. The sulking in the corner, ears flat. The saleswoman's warning, returned 3 times. The way I'd felt, that desperate protectiveness, that need to be the person who didn't give up on him that I thought about 2 years of trying to do everything right that I handed him the box. I hope you find what you're looking for, Tyler. He looked at me, really looked at me, the way he never had when we shared a space. I already had it, he said. I was just too stupid to see. Yes, I said, you were. I closed the door that. I stood on my side of it for a moment. Behind me, Leo turned a page. Weeks past Leo learned my medication. Schedule better that I kept it. He reminded me gently when I forgot. Not with alarm, just, Emma, it's past 9 o'clock. And then he'd go back to whatever he was doing that he held my hands when they shook. He didn't say it's okay or you're fine. He just held them until they steadied. That was all. One night, I asked him directly, why did you really bid on me? The actual reason. He closed his book. Tyler called you controlling, he said. He called you boring. He listed everything you did for him as evidence of your failures. He paused, but I heard something else. He turned to look at me. I heard about a woman who woke up early to follow a feeding schedule because she was afraid of getting it wrong, who read every article about Foxcare because she was terrified of accidentally hurting something she loved, who took a fox home after he'd been returned 3 times and didn't flinch. His golden eyes were steady. He described someone who loves quietly, who does it carefully and consistently and without fanfare. I've been looking for that my whole life. Not to be coddled, just to be accounted for. To have someone in the world who keeps track. I was crying. I'd started somewhere in the middle of that and hadn't noticed that I kissed him, soft and brief, a question that he answered 1 year later, that we don't use the word owner anymore. We don't use companion either. We haven't found the right word. We haven't needed one that. Emma Wilson Atelier exists only as a jewelry brand in a different story. My version, I enrolled in a medical illustration program. I can operate, but I can draw what surgeons need to see. My hands are steady most mornings. On the mornings they aren't, Leo notices before I do that he works part-time at a bookstore in the neighborhood. He likes the quiet. He comes home smelling of old paper and says almost nothing about his day except the occasional. A woman came in looking for something sad to read, and I gave her something beautiful instead. Is that wrong? And I say, no, that's not wrong. We have a balcony garden. Leo grows catnip in a small clay pot, tucked behind the lavender. He is embarrassed about this. I never mention it. I water it when he's not looking. Tyler found an owner eventually. Someone older, I heard, who didn't expect gratitude, only decency. I hope he's learning the difference. I don't check. We were sitting on the balcony on an evening in September when I asked him, Leo, do you ever regret it? Bidding on someone who was posted like something unwanted. He laughed, low and warm. You're never unwanted. You were invisible to someone who didn't know how to look. He pulled me closer. His tail curled around my wrist, a lion thing I'd learned. Territorial in the gentlest possible sense. It means mine. Either. Spent most of my life invisible. 2. I know the difference between someone who was overlooked and someone who wasn't. Worth seeing. He pressed a kiss to my hair. The city was going golden at the edges. The catnip pot rustled in the small evening wind. Tyler said I controlled him like a prison warden. He said I smelled like bitter medicine. He said I was pathetic compared to my sister, that he was wrong about all of it. Except one thing. I do run a careful home. I do keep schedules and track things and follow up, but I don't control Leo, that I love him and he stays because he wants to, that's not a prison, that's the whole point.